There's something about that sword. It makes him virtually invincible. What is Guts without his sword? So we've been talking about a whole bunch of people, but we've forgotten one very important object, the Dragonslayer. What's the deal with that big 400-pound sword, which I had the audacity to suggest couldn't be wielded against Jack Reacher? What foolishness. He would have dispatched Jack Reacher in an instant. Anyway, what is it about the Dragonslayer? It wasn't made for Guts, not really. It was made for some king from long ago who needed to slay a dragon, apparently. And it was a bit unwieldy to that king. Why? Because he clearly wasn't superhuman the way our pal Guts is. So what is it about it? Remember, too, what our little friend, the good little witch said. She says, I see something about that sword. It's like the smokiness around it or something ethereal. Doesn't know what it is, but she recognizes that with that sword in hand, he can dispatch beings in any world. And so there's something about it. Now, who made it? Godot made it. The great, great blacksmith who is no longer with us. And that's a sad day. Now, one thing we can say about, well, there's a lot we can say about the blacksmith, but one of those things is we declared him to be a wise man. Why was he so wise? Well, he was probably old. You can get some wisdom just hanging around for a long time. But where did he live? There's some allusion to the fact that he lived in a previous elfin zone. And if that is true, there's always the suggestion that elves leave some sort of trace of themselves behind. So there's some sort of elven magic that has to be existing in the home of Godot and his little daughter, who we really like, because she's going to be the love interest of none other than our friend Rieger. It just has to be. But anyway, our good friend Godot has passed, but he is the maker of the sword. The sword wasn't usable by the king who wanted it done, and so it'd been sitting around. It was sitting around in this previous elven magical kingdom or township or whatever it was. We don't really know. And it must have picked up some of that elven magic. You know, you hang around elves long enough, you pick things up. He's got some kind of magic, little Puck, and so does his little enemy friend, Elvira. Yeah, so there's something about elves. There's something about hanging out where elves were and being a blacksmith making a giant sword. So there's got to be some sort of magical property. Here's a question. Maybe it feels light in Guts's hand. I mean, it's like weightless in his hand. So is there something about that? You know, hearkening back to Lord of the Rings, those elven blades were pretty darn special. Some would glow when orcs were around, but one thing's for certain, they could slash and dice like no other sword made. So I'm thinking to myself, just off the top of my head, that there's got to be some kind of magic, some kind of elven magic associated with that sword of Guts. And maybe it is really not so heavy when he's wielding it. Another bit of speculation there, because we know Guts is strong. And at the same time, when he sheaths it, it's just a burden to him. And it's just another burden to Guts. That guy carries around more burdens than anybody we know. He's got the burden of Casca. Now he had the burden of the Band of the Hand, which he sort of ran away from. He wasn't ready for a burden there. But he's taken on this little traveling group of his, which is the new Band of the Hand. We got to figure out a name for these guys. The Black Swordsman crew. I like that. So, what's the deal with the sword? I want to know more about it. It showed up briefly in the first book, but only more of a mystery, I think, than anything else. I hardly even observed it, but it was there. So what is Guts without his sword? He's got his other implements of death, for sure. He's got that crossbow, and he's got, looks like a Gatling gun type of crossbow. Sorry, looks like a Gatling gun type of crossbow. But there's something about that sword. It makes him virtually invincible. And let's not forget, he does it with one eye. How does he have depth perception?
And one arm.
And one, my goodness, the man's a phenom. Wow, what a guy. Well, all I can say is I got to keep following the adventures of Guts until we're done with all 14 books. And I hope you'll stick with us. Like, follow, and subscribe, please. And especially send us those comments. Goodbye.